Hello and welcome everybody to our web event today about how to use OT threat detection in a digital substation. My name is Jan Hille. I'm Solutions Architect at Velotech, and I'm here today with Idan Petelski, who's Product Manager at Radiflow. Also with us today is my colleague Thomas from Velotech. He will take care about collecting your questions. In case if you have any questions, please feel free to use the Q&A section. We will take some time after the event to answer them. Now, let's take a look into the agenda for today. We will start with a short introduction of the companies Radiflow and Velotech. Afterwards, we will take a look onto what a firewall does and what it does not do. Then we will see how it is possible to increase network visibility and also how to monitor and detect network anomalies. After that, we will see how to enrich firewall efficiency by integrating such an OT threat detection solution. And why we would maybe need a risk assessment to understand what the actual threats in a specific environment are. Afterwards, we will take a look into a joint solution where we virtualized the OT security solution on a single box, on a Velotech box. And then we will take a look into how to create a digital image of the whole network to be able to manage the risk using the Radiflow CIARA solution. As I said before, at the end, we will take some time to answer your questions. Please feel free to post any question you have into the Q&A. If we run out of time and some questions might remain unanswered, we will follow up afterwards via email. So now, Idan, I would like to pass over to you. Please say a few words about Radiflow.
Okay, thank you very much, Jan, and good morning, everyone. My name is Idan Petelski. I'm a product manager at Radiflow. We at Radiflow provide OT-detected cybersecurity solution, meaning we are developing both products and providing the supported services in case needed for the complete security lifecycle. And the things I'm gonna share with you today are also based on our experience from multiple customers and deployments that we made in different verticals, as you can see in this slide.
Okay, thank you, Idan. Now a few words about Velotech. Velotech has been founded in 1969, so we have quite a few years of experience in automation. We are originally coming from the automation field, but over the years we developed to a strong solution provider for digitalization in IT environments as well, especially when it comes to rugged OT environments. We are based in Lahr in Germany, close to Münster, which is not far from the border to the Netherlands. And due to the different professions in our team, we have a strong OT and also IT background. Together, partnering with the global vendors for substation automation, we bring solutions into the substations and into the whole power industry. Those solutions are based on our product portfolio of industry certified industrial computers. You see our Velotech IEC 61850-3 substation server here. It is as the name already says, IEC 61850-3 certified and also IEEE 1613 certified. Okay, if you need more information about Velotech, just visit our homepage. If you have any questions, as I said, please feel free to post them in the Q&A. Now I would like to take a short look onto a substation network and the typical tasks of a firewall in such a substation network. Here you can see a sample of a network layout of a digital substation. You see a variety of devices through the different levels, down from the process level over the bay or field level up to the station level. And these devices are all using different communication methods and different communication protocols. On the top left, on the station level, you see a firewall solution, which interconnects the whole substation to, for example, the control center. So this firewall usually acts as a barrier between a trusted and an untrusted network. and it is able to monitor and control the outgoing and incoming traffic from and to the substation. This is typically done based on rules or policies. You can, for example, allow or deny specific devices to communicate, or protocols, or allow or deny communication on specific network ports. Modern firewalls are also able to look deeper into the communication using deep packet inspection. This means it is not only analyzing the header information, it's also analyzing the packet part of the data part of the packet, to being able to evaluate if there's some malicious code into their virus or any protocol violation. So what we have very good insight and control of the communication which is going out of the substation and into the substation. But what the firewall is not able to do, it is not able to monitor what's happening inside the substation network. And how we can do that, I would like to pass over to Idan again to get deeper into that.
Thanks, Jan. Okay, so if we look at the basic substation network architecture that Jan presented, the first thing we want to achieve is really the visibility and the security monitoring. And this is done by achieving number of layers. The basic one is the data collection, meaning we need to collect data from every part of the network. This is allowing us to discover the assets and then go to the logic layer of classifying these assets into business process and zones. And at the final stage, we can then detect anomalies and do some event analytics, which helps us in our security monitoring. So the first stage is really the data collection. And when we want to achieve a full network visibility, there's a couple of questions that we need to answer to ourselves. First one is, what do we want to monitor? Because the substation is big, we need to decide what to monitor. Second, if we are going to monitor it by ourselves or by a trusted provider. Then we can discuss the data sensitivity, meaning does the data leave our premise, or can it only stays on-prem? And final one is really to get at least a high-level understanding of the enterprise architecture. This understanding of the architecture enables us to do the basic deployment and grow from there. So once we answer these questions and we collected the data, we can then discover the assets, as you can see in the map, and we can also discover some deep OT unique data about every asset, as you can see on the right. We grow from there to the business process. We can see which assets are related to every process and to the zones, if you are working according to IEC 62443 standards. And at the final stage, we can look at different verticals within the network to detect some anomalies, meaning we can look at network anomalies, we can look at asset anomalies, and OT operational commands anomaly. For example, if some asset is trying to stop a PLC, which doesn't happen regularly, and on suspicious cyber attack patterns, all of these together enables us a good understanding of the network and to detect anomalies. All of this, we are doing it using our IC, the Industrial Threat Detection product, which really incorporates all these capabilities into one software, enable you the network visibility and the security monitoring of the substation. Now, if we are taking it a step further, we can now enrich the firewalls which Jan presented using our OT threat detection. So first of all, what is the value with this integration? First, we are now able to add some industrial context into the firewall, meaning it's not just an IP or a MAC. we know additional OT asset information for every IP. We can add dedicated OT detection rules and some prioritized alerts. We can get faster response and proactive mitigations because we can have online integration between the OT detection and the firewall. And lastly, and this is very important, we get this unique IT OT protection, which is very crucial, especially at the perimeter of our substation, allowing us to really control our OT network. So all of this unique value enables us to get the unique equation of 1 + 1, which gives us the 3. If we're discussing some specific use cases for this integration, so firstly, we can now set the access control according to asset type, meaning we know the IP, but it's not just IP. We know if it's a PLC or an HMI. So we can say to the firewall, okay, if it's a PLC, block the communication. If it's a HMI, for example, permit it. We can set access control according to zones or business process. For example, allow only specific protocols between 2 zones. We can control on the control plane to our assets, meaning, for example, automatically stop some malicious commands between 2 assets. And lastly, we can incorporate some dedicated ICS threat signatures and ICS vulnerabilities into the firewall operation. So this integration allows us all of these use cases and many more. I want to discuss now the cyber risk assessment portion, which usually when we discuss it, this is where we begin, trying to figure it out, where we're gonna start and how to approach this task of really evaluating the risk to our substation. So the first thing you need to do is to build a model, but not just a generic risk model, but really a model which is adequate with the OT networks and substations, meaning such a model which takes into consideration your assets, your business process, which assign the relevant risk level and probability of the attack story, and have some rich contextual data and establish a SOP, standard of operation, which is suited to your OT networks. So once we have our model, we can discuss the risk analytics. So risk is basically the multiplying probability with impact. But how do we really measure probability and impact in our substation? So we need to look on a couple of parameters. One of them is what we call exploitability, meaning how easy it is to compromise a device. But it doesn't stop there, because we also need to look at the attacker model. Different attackers have different capabilities. And if I'm measuring myself against one attacker or against another attacker, the risk will obviously change. And lastly, we really need this business-driven impact analysis, meaning not just a flat analysis, but one which is correlated with your business and operation. So if you're using this model and this risk analytics, we now can get some unique things. For example, as you see on the left, we can prioritize the hardening of assets, meaning really decide which asset should be hardened and mitigated first in order to reduce the overall network risk. We can come up with a work plan, some actionable steps of how to improve your network security posture. So the risk really helps you to take proactive actions. So if to sum up this part, manual risk assessment obviously takes time, and we are using dynamic data, meaning our CVEs, exploits, our own network topology, constantly changing. But if we are doing the risk assessment, this is a static process. So what we need is a really a risk-oriented tool for a continuous risk assessment, but with specific ICS logic, and I will discuss it in the final part of the presentation. Back to you, Jan.
Yeah, thank you very much for the detailed explanation. Let's now take a look on how it is done really in the substation. We already learned we need a complete, if you want a complete analysis of the communication within the substation, you will place some solution inside the substation network. And we have always special environmental requirements and also certification requirements when it comes to the substation network. And this is where our platform offers a benefit because it's specially developed for such an environment and also brings the necessary certifications. So what is our Velotech substation server? It is a virtualization platform. That means it will enable you to run several virtual computers on just one hardware platform, which obviously brings a lot of benefit with regards to availability, reduces operating costs, and also space savings. We also already see this approach very often when it comes to substation automation applications. For example, we see that the substation automation engineering workstation, the HMI, and the substation automation system are placed on such a device. Each is dedicated virtual computer, but on one hardware platform. And what we can also see is increasing interest in building up integrated virtualized security solution. For example, consisting of a firewall, an IDS, for example, Radiflow CIARA, and also a log server. The flexibility of such a virtualization approach offers you, of course, the possibility to start, for example, just with the IDS and add some more functionality afterwards. So we tested these solutions on our substation server. We have such an integration to increase the visibility of the network possibilities and also the firewall enrichment, what Idan just explained. So we installed Radiflow CIARA on our substation server as a virtual machine and also a firewall solution. In this case, it was one of Fortinet. And we used the API approach, the integration, to let the solutions communicate with each other. So if, for example, the IDS now detects a new device, it will determine the device type. It might, for example, be a PLC or an HMI. And it notifies the firewall about the new device. Then the firewall will create a new rule for this specific device based on a policy which is predefined. So if somebody would install, for example, a rogue device in the network, the firewall will be able to automatically deny the traffic from this device, and to example, for preventing it to communicate to a command and control server. So this is a very interesting approach to bring in some more security with an automation approach. And why we need all this and how these solutions are used to manage the actual risk. Idan will say something about that now.
Thanks, Jan. So, sorry, yeah. So if we are talking about some risk analysis as discussed, we have our platform which is called CIARA, which is really focused on industrial risk analysis. So the first thing when discussing on risk analysis is really to create the digital image of your network. Obviously, we need to assess the network in order to calculate the risk. So this can be done by a number of ways. First of all, if you're using our ISID, so obviously you can connect it to CIARA and get out of the box the digital image. But even if you don't have ISID, you can still build the digital image by simply upload a pickup or create a flat file, meaning an Excel spreadsheet with the detailed data on the assets and different processes within the substation. So if we will go back to our model, which we discussed previously, the first two steps of really mapping the assets and the zones business process are covered by the digital image. Again, this can be done by simply pickup recording of the network. The last two steps, which is really to create some rich contextual incident information and to establish the standard of operation procedure, is done in the similar at the SOC, by the SOC team. So CIARA is really focused on the middle part, which is to really assign the relevant impact level, to perform some breach assessment simulation, and at the end to establish the risk matrix, which enables you to evaluate the risk. So how does it looks in practice? Obviously, first of all, once you create your digital image, you can see it within a CIARA, whether it's the business process or the assets data. This is enables you to see your network status. But in order to calculate risk, we also need to understand the threats. So according to your digital image, we can really calculate which threats are most relevant to your network, which tactics and access vectors are relevant to this network, and create the relevant threat model. So now we have the digital image, we have the relevant threats. So we really can use some risk algorithms, as I mentioned before, in order to calculate the risk and create the risk matrix, meaning placing the business process and the zones according to the relevant risk layers. We can look at the relevant attack scenarios, meaning which scenarios are relevant to which process and what is the risk. So really you can understand by this which processes are at the higher risk and you should mitigate. And if you want to mitigate, and then we can do some security controls planning, meaning we can set for every zone or business process what is the relevant SLT, meaning target security level. And according to the security level, we can see what are the fundamental requirements in order to meet this security level. And we can see what we already achieved, what we haven't achieved, and we can do some also budget analysis of how we're going to spend in each quarter in order to meet our security controls planning. Of course, all of these can lastly be incorporated into some reports. As you have different stakeholders, you have different reports. For example, visibility report, which is more aimed to the operational guys. And you have some detailed reports, which are for analysts, and some high-level reports for management. So different reports can be created in order to incorporate and capture the risk portion. Back to you, Jan.
Yeah, thank you very much. We are already at the end of our presentation. Now it's time for the Q&A. Thomas, do you have some questions for us?
Good morning, everyone. Yes, we have a couple of questions. Let's start with, well, the first, I guess. You've talked about a proactive approach when integrating OT threat monitoring with firewall. Does it necessarily have to be automatic? Because active measures at our organization must be approved beforehand.
Okay, so I will take it. So no, obviously you can, once you have the integration between the firewall and the OT threat detection, you can do it automatic, but you don't have to. We also have some semi-automatic solution where if you choose to block something or to take proactive measures, then only then you can do the connection between the OT threat and the firewall. So only once this proactive measure was approved, you can really operate it. So nothing will happen on the network without the user approval.
Okay, thank you very much. The next question is for you as well. Our IT team is using an IT risk management solution. Can I easily use it for my OT network as well?
Yeah, so this is something that we've been asked a lot, and also saw some attempts to, we'll call it transition IT risk tools into OT. From our experience, it doesn't really work because you have different assumptions when you're discussing OT and IT. You have different threat actors. You require a different model. The risk model for OT is different from IT. So trying to take an IT risk tool, use it for OT, won't really give you the best risk analysis. Same goes vice versa, meaning if you take an OT risk tool like our CIARA and use it on a pure IT network, it isn't the same as just using IT risk tool, which was generally built to support this kind of networks. So you really need to take an OT dedicated risk tool and use it in order to get the best risk analysis. And if you really want to understand the network security posture, your risk, and how to mitigate things and progress.
Okay, thank you very much. We have one more question. Do I have to use all Radiflow products for the risk assessment, or can I just use CIARA in isolation?
Okay, so obviously we will be more than happy to provide you with all our portfolio and all our products, but no, we don't force anything. Our portfolio is built as building blocks, meaning you can choose some of them and use only what is required for you. And if we're talking about risk assessment, so CIARA is a building block which can be used separately, meaning if you have other OT IDSs, you can use them in order to integrate them into CIARA. You can just take CIARA and upload pickup and understand your risk. So if you are interested only in the risk analysis, you only need the CIARA product, no other Radiflow products and tools, and you can get the risk analysis and continuous risk analysis and understanding of your network using this one single product.
Okay, thank you very much. That would be all questions for today. And with that, I hand back over to Jan.
Yes, thank you very much, Thomas, for helping us out with the questions. We are at the end of our event. Idan, thank you very much for the detailed explanation. It has been a very interesting presentation from your side. Short notice from my side to an upcoming event. On 23rd of March, the World Energy Leaders Virtual Summit will be carried out. And Jos Senner, CTO of Velotech GmbH, will be joining a panel discussion there about IT and OT cybersecurity. Will be a very interesting event. Please take a look on that. And with that, I say thank you for attending today, for being here. Take care, stay safe and stay healthy. Looking forward to the next events with you. Goodbye.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye. Thanks, Jan.